welcome to the Season 8 premiere of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
Can you believe we've been at this for 8 years, Dad, since pre-COVID times?
I cannot believe it. It doesn't seem that long.
But, as is our tradition, every time we do a season premiere, we cover a lady pop artist. And I said to Dad, I want you to pick someone who you feel like should get her due this time around. And so Dad picked Danielle Dax with her album, Blast the Human Flower. So, Dad, what do we need to know?
We need to know that Danielle Gardner was born September 23rd, 1958 in Southend-on-Sea, Essex, England. She started performing at an early age, singing in Benjamin Britten's opera Noah's Flood at the Royal Albert Hall.
Wow.
She had a short modeling career, winning Miss Evening Echo in 1976. And I don't know what that is either. And I also was not able to find how she changed her last name from Gardner to Dax. I did a lot of searching, but nothing came up.
Gardner and Flower.
Okay.
That works.
Okay. Anyway, yes. In 1979, Danielle joined the Lemon Kittens, which was mostly a duo consisting of herself and Carl Blake.
The Lemon Kittens.
The Lemon Kittens.
That's a name.
That is.
Wow.
Their first album, We Buy a Hammer for Daddy, came out in 1980. They got the title from a children's book. Followed by 1982's, wait for it, Those Who Bite the Hand That Feeds Them Sooner or Later Must Meet the Big Dentist.
Oh.
During her time with the Lemon Kittens, Danielle also sang on Robert Fripp's The League of Gentlemen album.
That's such an English name.
She also drew the album sleeve front cover.
Cool.
In 1982, the Lemon Kittens went into, quote-unquote, extended hibernation, leaving Danielle to embark on a solo career. She recorded, produced, and played everything on her debut album, Popeyes. It came out in 1983 on the IRC label. Danielle also did the cover art, which is fondly known as Meat Harvest. It was too shocking for the music industry. When it was re-released on the Awesome Records label, Holly Warburton did the cover art, and she would go on to do most of the rest of Danielle's album covers. Did I send you Meat Harvest?
No.
Damn it. She would also, it's very disturbing, she would collaborate with her on the rest of her albums as well. Excuse me. Danielle's EP, Jesus Egg That Wept, came out in 1984 with assistance from Carl Blake and David Knight. Also in 1984, she appeared in Neil Jordan's movie The Company of Wolves as Wolf Girl. In 1987, she collaborated with David Knight on her third album, Inky Bloaters, not to be confused with Peaky Blinders. Anyway, she signed with Sire Records in 1988. Her first release, Dark Adapted Eye, was a compilation. Of its 19 tracks, 10 were from Inky Bloaters, with the remaining 9 coming from Popeyes, Jesus Egg That Wept, and some B-sides. Also in 1988, Danielle recorded her version of Blue Christmas for a Warner Brothers 2-record compilation called, this is genius, Winter Warnerland.
Oh, that's a good title. Is her version any good?
I actually found the whole album on YouTube. Unfortunately, there's no track separation, so I had to search for it, and it comes in at the 51-minute mark. She bangs it out in a minute and a half, and it rocks. And also for you, George Harrison as Nelson Wilbury dispenses with Christmas greetings.
That's cute.
And if you really want to, you're probably going to have to do a search to figure out where it shows up.
Sounds better than that other Christmas compilation album we've unfortunately encountered on this podcast.
Anyway, in 1990, Danielle released Blast the Human Flower, which turned out to be her one and only major label release. In 1995, she released a two-disc compilation, Comatose Non-Reaction, The Thwarted Pop Career of Danielle Dax.
Wow.
On the Biter of Thorpe label, and then a mostly instrumental EP called Timber Tongue. Since then, she's worked as an interior designer. She appeared several times on the BBC interior design makeover show Homefront, on which she eventually won the Designer of the Year award.
Very nice.
In 2022, Danielle released a single, Invictus Hardius, on the independent Heaven's Lathe label. 100 copies were printed. They sold out in 2 minutes. And that's all the information I was able to find on Danielle Dax. But I will make one observation. She has a lot of hair, like we're talking lion's mane.
Mm.
Now, as for me, I first heard Danielle back in 1990. WBRU played her song The Id Parade from Blast the Human Flower, and I liked it a lot. Then they played her cover of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows, and I liked that one too. So I thought, okay, two songs I really liked, I'll give it a shot. And I picked up the CD. Stephen Street produced the album. He had also done albums for Blur, The Darling Buds, whom I almost picked to start off this season, the Cranberries, the Smiths, and Morrissey.
So what made you choose Danielle instead?
I figured more of a solo performer than a band.
Okay.
Um, okay, so Blast the Human Flower, it got mostly good reviews, but there were some critics who accused Danielle of selling out because how dare she sign with a major label and make an attempt for more people to hear her music. I mean, really.
As David Bowie says, I never begrudge anybody for being successful.
But you know what? In the end, not a lot of people bought it. The title Blast the Human Flower comes from it's either a poem or lyrics that are written on the back of the CD booklet. It seems to be about the end of the world, from what I could gather. Anyway, the booklet also contains all the song lyrics as well as musician credits. Danielle and David Knight do the bulk of the playing. The one credit not listed is percussion or drums, not even like drum programming. So I'm going to have to assume they did it with keyboards. I really don't know. So, on with the show.
First track, The Id Parade. I heard those opening notes and realized I needed my headphones for this one, because I thought the sound was going to be bigger than it actually was. The volume of the song is pretty even keel, but musically it's very busy with the tech going on in the background. I had to use Google because I haven't taken psych since high school. We're all familiar with the ego, but the id, at least to me, isn't discussed as much. The id is the unconscious primitive part of personality driven by instinct and pleasure, needing immediate gratification, which is interesting when applied to politicians' drive to go to war and hunger for profit. So this was interesting to listen to the day President Bone Spurs invaded Venezuela. I'm not making that up. Was listening to this as soon as the news broke. Since Danielle is English, though, it shows how this is universal for all the world powers. Wasn't expecting a protest song based on the cover. Don't judge an album by its cover, too, but good for her. We need more protest songs in this day and age, and my favorite part was her warbling vibrato on the la la las. I think it's a version of Kate Bush's vibrato I can handle.
Okay. Yeah, so Danielle sings about a politician saying there's a new way coming to town, but to her it's the same old thing. Nothing to stop her frown. It's all guns and dollars, and you're staring down the barrel of an Armalite, which I had to look up. That's a type of firearm. It's a brand. The most popular model being the AR-15, which the military adapted to what is called the M16. Not so fun. In fact, the AR-15 has played a prominent part in high-profile mass shootings in the United States.
Yes, it has.
Anyway, Daniel cries and they lie, and there's blood, death, pushing and shoving, all part of the id parade. And like you, I had to look up the id, but per the American Heritage Dictionary, it's one of Freud's divisions of the psyche. The other two being the ego and the superego. And I guess if you're a superhero, you also have the alter ego. Anyway, the id is, quote, totally unconscious and serves as the source of instinctual impulses and demands for immediate satisfaction of primitive needs, unquote. I wonder if there are any politicians like that. Anyway, musically, this comes charging out of the gate. I couldn't tell if that was like a keyboard drone or maybe a guitar that starts off the song. And it kind of sounds almost like a plane taking off. And then the drums kick in with 3 snare hits and the song hits hard and never lets up. Great opening track.
Next track, Tomorrow Never Knows. First note, the English love their sitars. Now I'm just picturing some British mustache from the East India Company talking down to some poor Indian because they thought the sitar was cute. I say, what an odd instrument. Can you play Daisy Bell Bicycle Built for Two? Such a jolly song. Now we'll steal your tea and land. Goodbye, old sport.
Thank you, Sahib.
Anyway, I read the title and thought, no, not that one. Songs can share the same title. Nope, it's that one. And I like to think she brought the sitar in as a homage to George. Parts of it sound like Pizzicato 5. I hear her version and the Beatles, and there's something interesting that reveals when you listen to them back to back, how the vibes of drug culture shifted over the decades. As Mike said when I sent him both versions, one is acid, the other's Molly. The Beatles sounds like 60s drug culture, and hers sounds like what happens when you do drugs at the club while also being turned on. Danielle sounds like a track you could bump and grind to, as opposed to zone out and enter into a meditative state with, like a siren luring you with her song. Who would have thought that Tomorrow Never Knows could be a track for the club? And then you have a spoken soundbite, which according to Google was of Edie Sedgwick in Chow Manhattan, which I've never seen, but it fits the vibe Danielle's created. The distorted moaning is also unsettling, and the sampling of Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads was a fun Easter egg. I like to think if John heard this while he was alive, he would have been sexually confused by his own writing, which is a hilarious concept to me. I think this is a wonderful rendition, and it doesn't feel long, even though it's 2 minutes longer than the original. Just goes to show there are great Beatles covers when someone decides to do their own unique take and not be totally married to the source material. I do miss Ringo's drums, though. I love how they sound on the track on Revolver.
This was written primarily by John Lennon with maybe some help from Paul McCartney.
Well, he did the laughing thing that's distorted.
Yeah, it's the last track on Revolver, and in a 1980 interview, John said that he wrote this during his Tibetan Book of the Dead period. And in the 2000 Beatles anthology book, George Harrison questioned if John really understood what the lyrics were about.
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
George did, though, the whole meditation thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, per Wikipedia, the title came from one of Ringo Starr's malapropisms, like 8 days a week.
Yeah.
In a 1964 TV interview, Ringo uttered the phrase, "Tomorrow never knows," when laughing off an incident that took place at the British Embassy in Washington, D.C.,
Oh, yes.
during which one of the guests cut off a portion of Ringo's hair.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Now, John said he used Ringo's phrase to take the edge off the heavy lyrics. Originally, he was going to call it The Void, but he thought it would be
Too bleak.
too bleak and too druggy, which, coming from John at that time, I'm really surprised that he dialed it back. Very considerate of him, I guess.
Well, good for you, John.
Didn't want to freak out the listeners too much, I suppose. The music would have taken care of that.
Anyway.
Yeah, because musically there's a lot of stuff going on in the Beatles version. John said he wanted it to sound like the Dalai Lama singing from a mountaintop, which
Okay.
it sort of does because he's got to be able to sing over all that noise that's going on in the background.
To cut through the world.
Yeah, and I hate to call it noise because it is music on one level. There's a lot going on. There's processed vocals, reverse guitar, and cymbal effects, tape loops, and drones. And yes, Paul comes in at 7 seconds.
Sounding like a seagull.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Ringo's drums are just incredible. And not to brag, but I can actually drum to that song. Took a while to figure out, but that's what videos on YouTube are for.
We heard you drumming to Day Tripper yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Any comments?
No, it just sounded good.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Yeah.
Danielle's version is actually calmer. It's got a hip hop beat, and you can actually dance to it.
Yeah.
Like you really can.
Yeah, you can.
And she does throw in some of the Beatles effects. I mean,
Yes.
since you listen to them back and back, I mean, she seemed to keep a lot of the background sampling.
Yes.
And she has a few of her samples of her own, like you said, Talking Heads Once in a Lifetime near the end. And I think maybe she was able to get that because both she and the Heads were Sire Records label mates at the time.
How'd you feel about it when you first heard it?
It just freaked me out. Like, what? And I thought, yeah, this kind of works.
Yeah, it does. It really
Yep,
does.
yep. And then yeah, that's spoken word part. Thank you. Me forget talking words.
You talk pretty one day.
Yeah, it's Edie Sedgwick from 1972 movie Chow Manhattan, which supposedly is a fictionalized story of her life. I'm not sure if she was aware that she was playing herself in the movie, but it was funny because when I was searching online first, someone said that they thought it was Lynette Squeaky Fromme.
Oh my God.
And I thought, let me check before I do that. And it just came up in a few places that, yes, it really is Edie Sedgwick.
Okay. Next track, Big Blue 82. I like the guitar solo that plays around the 3-minute mark. This is a cute dance track about falling into passion with someone. They don't say I love you, but they do mention their hearts are on fire, though. And then after that, the passion becomes even better than it was before. Goes to show an emotional connection makes everything that's physical even more sensational. Very good imagery and word choice, although I had to Google fecund because it makes me think of the word fecal, even though there's no connection between the two at all. Might be better as a poem, though, than a song.
From the title, I'm just going to assume that Danielle wrote this about some passionate affair back in 1982. I could be totally wrong, but I'm sticking with my theory. And yes, she sings about fecund desire burning like fire. And I, too, had to look up fecund, which means fertile. And I thought, Very British. But we both learned a word for the day. Her senses are overloading, drowning in a pool of love. And she kind of sort of references Alice Cooper when she uses the phrase muscle of love. He was referring to his heart. Danielle possibly might be referring to something else.
Could be
maybe.
both. Could be
Could be both. But I gotta say, she writes darn good songs about sex. Because if you listen to her other album, Dark Adapted Eye, my goodness. Anyway, this song starts, the way this song starts, this is going to sound weird, especially with the guitar at the beginning. It kind of reminds me of Cyndi Lauper. I can't explain it.
Okay.
I don't know if she could pull off this song, though, but there's something that just gives off the essence of Cyndi for me.
Next track, Bayou. This song seems to be sung from the point of view of a bird who
Yeah.
flies over the city and also flies over the bayou, observing differences between the two types of culture, I guess. I think that's the imagery they're going for anyway. I also think that they were trying to create more of a jungle vibe with the bum bum baleo they were singing at the end. This song seemed kind of confused as to what it wanted to be. This also might be the first time I've ever heard the word bayou pronounced with an English accent, which was interesting to hear. Skippable.
Okay, Danielle's a bird, just like William Butler Yeats was a bird.
But then he wrote some poems. These
Yes.
are pretty good. Hark Vagrant, go read it.
Yep. So I did a lot of research on this one just to try and get, where this is taking place. It seems to be taking place in Australia where billabong trees are everywhere, and they're mostly in the wetlands, hence the bayou, the bio. Bayou.
She says bayou in England,
Yeah.
but it's bayou down south.
So in the bayou in Australia, there are wrens, kookaburras, parrots, and finches. Kookaburras are the birds that everyone goes to. If you're making a jungle movie, they go, oh, coo, 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 ga, ga, ga.
Oh,
That one.
okay.
That noise. Anyway, at first Danielle and her flock are flying around, singing their songs and their tiny hearts are beating. Then they fly from their trees to sleep in the marketplace, only to find their feathers pulled out for another pretty hat on a pretty face.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Those poor birds.
And, I mean, there are lots of bayou effects, sound effects in the song. You get the chirping, you get the frogs, etc. And then the music turns menacing after their feathers have been pulled.
Yeah.
And then closes out with Danielle singing Mama Maleo over and over and over. And I thought, maybe that's her bird song?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. But interesting track.
Next track, King Crack. Okay, that opening was very interesting. After hearing some of the more techno tracks, that guitar woke me up in a very good way. Based on the title, this song is about addiction. And I think what I appreciate about the lyrics is how it exposes the choice a person has to make when they become famous. You can either cope in a healthy way, or you can crash and burn. And this is about the crash and burn, about how once you become addicted, you're just barely scraping by. You're not focused on the art anymore. All you're focused on is, can I get a hit that will have me feeling good and feeling high? Those couple of verses alone are worth listening to the song for. As for the James Brown original, that this is heavily inspired by King Heroin, everybody should listen to that at least once. It's so serious that James Brown doesn't even sing. He just recites a poem to a beat, and it's incredibly effective. Everybody should listen to that at least once in their lives, too.
Yep.
But everybody also should listen to King Crack at least once in their lives, too. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
I'm
because
sorry.
in the 70s we had James Brown and King Heroin, and at the start of the 90s it's King Crack. And I did some research on crack, and this was right at its peak before it started losing popularity.
I'm sorry, I'm going to quote Whitney Houston. Crack is whack. Sorry.
I was thinking of that too.
I know.
Anyway, I thought it was like Danielle chastising a dealer, like this guy that she knows.
Okay.
Because it was, they have lips made to lie, can't keep promises, and have a heart of ice. They wanted wealth and fame, but they didn't want to work for it. So what's the easy out? I think I'll just sell me some drugs. And now they dally here and squander there, and time just passes them by. But I like your theory, too. It's a lot better than mine,
Oh,
I will
thanks.
admit. Except for the guitar solo, musically, it doesn't deviate much from how it starts at the beginning.
Next track, Daisy. No, not Daisy, Daisy, Bicycle Bill for Two. Beautiful lesbian love song. Danielle's love Daisy shot a bitch who was bullying her. Daisy tried being polite, but one day the woman went too far, so that woman ended up dead. Now there's a manhunt, but Danielle is going to protect her and hide her away. Danielle is scared for two reasons. One, she knows they won't stop until Daisy is found, and two, she's afraid of this dark side of Daisy. but through shaky vibrato, she stands firm in her love for her. A song that leans into the tragedy very well.
Yep, Daisy's in trouble. Like that line, I know you didn't mean it, but you shot her.
Yeah,
Oops.
reminds me of that line from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Cool motive, still murder.
Yep, so now Daisy's life is not worth the living. But Danielle will give Daisy her sympathy, anything, her heart, sanctuary, because Daisy has got to hold on Danielle's heart. It's the old, yeah, Daisy shot her, but Daisy's not going to shoot me. I can just feel it. I just know it.
Maybe.
Maybe not. But she knows it's doomed, though, as men are searching the town, and they will never settle down till they find Daisy. And all I could think of was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Who are those guys?
Oh, yeah.
Because they never stopped either. They
Nope.
just never, ever stopped. And it's all presented to us as a pretty ballad right down to that Celesta solo.
Oh, yeah, I forgot there was a Celesta in this.
Yep. And if this was the record of the cassette, this would be the end of side one. And then we go to side two, which gets dark pretty quick.
Dead Man's Chill. Don't assume the song is chill from the title. It's very much not. And again, as Danielle sang, her voice gave me Kate Bush vibes. I could hear Kate singing the song. The lyrics reminded me of a book I read that was very odd. It was a modern interpretation of fairy tales where the protagonists all go to support group and you find out that they're secretly being recorded by Rumpelstiltskin for exploitation and to be made into a reality TV show. This one gave me the vibes of the section of the book that retells the story of Bluebeard and his wife, because everything is fine and dandy until you find the dead wives in the closet. Danielle sings as two people. One, the partner stuck in this landscape, and two, her jailer. He does sound like a villain in a fairy tale, luring you in, and when you fall for the trap, he reveals his true ugly form. Musically, I thought the distortions at the end sounded cool as they cut in and out. Would love for the song to be used in a contemporary adaptation of fairy tales.
Interesting. At first, I thought this might be about a prostitute with a customer she can't stand. There's the lines, I feel your clammy skin and my heart just misses a beat. Cold customer, what's the score? But then it could be someone who definitely married the wrong man. Maybe just for money, or she didn't have a choice. And the first thing I thought of was Henry James' Portrait of a Lady.
Oh God, that painting is so devastating.
And like the guy in the song, he goes out on a Friday, comes back when the weekend's over, drunk and awkward and fumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's also built her a palace with everything she could possibly need, and she sings about sitting in her gilded cage, and he's thrown away the key, and all I could think of was Phil and Ronnie Spector. Danielle laments, oh, sick lover, never knew another till you set me free. And in Ronnie's case, she escaped. In Danielle's case, the best she can hope for, it seems, is to outlive the guy. Lyrically, it's no fun, but musically, it definitely rocks.
Next track, The Living and Their Stillborn. This song seems to me to be in the same vein as King Crack. It's poetic telling of the arrested development addicts find themselves in, or if not arrested development, how they're trapped. They all have these dreams they want to partake in, but their addiction has them paralyzed, either from fear or because in order to achieve that dream, they have to break away from their addiction and embrace the pain of making a choice. What's interesting is that dialogue delivered by a very proper English gentleman intercuts with the rest of the song, admonishing the listener and saying how they're dead and made of stone. The most jarring part of the song is the horn that blasts through the techno distortion that puts you on edge, which I think is intentional. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. Another song about addiction you can dance to in a haze. An interesting combination she seems to have nailed right on the head.
Listening to this over the years, I thought maybe this could be about the homeless. I'm not sure, because she sings about someone who's got the clothes that are getting thin. But I've always gotten the impression that it could be about life in some sort of dystopia.
I can see that too.
And I think the music conveys that feeling as well as Danielle's delivery. And as for the monologue during the break, that also gives me the same feeling. And I did so much searching online to find out where is this coming from, and I have no idea. And it seems like the guy who's speaking has either hypnotized the woman that he's talking to or maybe the whole audience, because he's saying, you know, you're dead as stone, new carved, new paint, and the paint not dry. And he goes on about how she's a mature woman with dignity, but she's dead. And then he says, your husband thinks you're dead. The audience thinks you're dead. I'm thinking, okay, this is probably some sort of magic show that went just horribly wrong. And I gotta say, the guy who gives the speech has excellent diction because each
Yes.
word is pronounced clearly.
Yes.
And I wish I knew who it was.
Same.
I really do. The music is a simple shuffle and it doesn't change at all during the entire song. But man, when that horn comes in, it's definitely a wake up call.
Next track, Jehovah's Precious Stone. You know the scenes in adventure movies where the archaeologists find some cursed object and one of them starts walking toward it really slowly and then they touch it and all the evil is unleashed onto the world?
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah, that's what this song is. But also, Danielle, for another version, she sounds like Nichelle Nichols when she guest starred in that Batman the Animated Series episode where Ra's al Ghul wanted the power of the gods and he went down to that tomb in Egypt
yeah.
and she sucked his life essence away. But this one is about the hypocrisy of religious organizations that promise to serve the Lord, but in actuality service white supremacy and their own self-interests. Like, we could do a whole podcast about songs that critique religious establishments, and I, for one, am all for calling out those religious hypocrites. However, I think each of us has a favorite of that category of songs, and this one isn't mine. I'd really have to think of ones that I do prefer because the ones that come to mind instinctually are Take Me to Church by Hotzier and that song by XTC about atheism with the kids singing.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, but I'd still have to ponder, though, what my favorite songs in that category are because it's not music I listen to casually for a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Danielle's definitely calling out those who use religion for their own money-making purposes. To me, this has always been the weakest song on the album. But the thing is, I don't have a problem with it really. I've never skipped over it, but it's just kind of a little too long, and I'm just waiting for something to happen, and it just
Doesn't.
yeah.
Final track, 16 Candles. No, not that one.
Because we are not ending this album on a happy note.
No. Well, that's an eerie beginning. They establish a good groove with the drums and strumming guitar. I don't think I've ever heard a sea shanty quite like this. Okay, picture it. A group of men are commissioned by the king to travel to a pagan land and crush them in their sinning ways. One girl is waiting for her lover to return and has a moonlit affair while he's at sea. I felt bad for a sec until I remembered he was a crusader. Then I didn't feel as bad, but then I felt a little bit bad when I realized they'd been manipulated into this conflict by the king, the empire, and the king's general. The man dies, but his woman prays he'll come back, lighting candles for each year he's gone, even though she doesn't know it's in vain. So, 16 candles, you do the math. I feel like Danielle and Kate would really get along because this is a song that's also right up Kate Bush's alley. Love hearing an old-timey story juxtaposed to what was, at the time, contemporary music.
Yep. So, I mean, I basically got the same impression that you did. Maiden's knight in shining armor goes off to fight in the Crusades. She promises to wait for him and lights a candle for every year he's gone. 16 so far. Think he's going to come back?
Well,
Probably not.
and she still has an affair with somebody else.
What gave you that impression?
I'll Google the lyrics for this song. You keep talking.
I'm talking.
Well, do you have any more things
Yeah,
to say?
the music plods along relentlessly, which, given the theme for this song, it should. And the violin solos give it, I guess, a Middle East flavor, if you'd want to call it that. And Daniel was always very influenced by Eastern music.
Okay, I think I figured out where I thought this because the lyrics are, she'd light a candle for every year gone, memories fine and tender, a stolen kiss under spring's new moon, a secret shared in the dark. I didn't realize until now that was about the two of them with her looking back on the past.
That's
but
all
I thought that meant while he was away, a secret shared in the dark. It's like, uh-oh, she caved at one point and gave in to somebody else while he was gone.
Nope, that's all. That's as far as they got before he had to go off
Got it, okay.
and kill the godless whoever they are.
I don't know. All set?
All set.
All right, overall, I think if you dig Kate Bush, you'll dig Danielle. I love how Danielle sets serious adult topics to a dancing pop sound, something I appreciate. Not everyone will listen, most will dance, but it's still a cool blend. So give this album a try if you want to be exposed to a different side of pop that you may not have encountered before.
Overall, believe it or not, this is one of my favoriteest albums ever.
Wow.
There have been times where, like when I first got it, I would just listen to it like 3 or 4 times in a row. I love Danielle's voice, her lyrics, the music, the whole thing. And it made me eventually pick up Dark Adapted Eye last year, which is even more out there than this album.
Wow.
So if you're looking for something different, give Blast the Human Flower a shot. And the whole album is available on YouTube for your listening pleasure.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Remember, the more you interact with the YouTube video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there. If you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll send an email right to your inbox. As always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. We will be back next time with another album to nitpick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, Danielle Dax is not related to Jadzia or Esri Dax.